Hey guys, Levy Freeman here again, and today we're playing some more Hearts of Iron 4 Kaisereich mod. And I think today I've been playing in China. It's been all right. I think I'm gonna play. I play the Qing over here, so we'll lock in with the Qing, and we'll see how she goes. Welcome to Burger Qing. Can I take your order? One unified China. Okay, we'll see if we can get that custom made to order. So Qing, I think I have played Qing before. Usually I played as a Manchu coup, which I don't think is the best path. I mean, the first time I played Qing, I did it. I didn't know how to get the Manchu coup, so I missed the event trigger, and I just played as like standard Qing. And that one I found to be like a little bit easier than the Manchu coup Qing, but I have done Manchu coup Qing like a bunch of times. Of course, in the recent patch, Qing had a pretty big nerf where they no longer start with like a whole bunch of motorized and light tanks. Like you start with a decent stockpile, which would enable you to get some 20 width light tank divisions out pretty quick, and you can kind of use those to carry yourself through Fang Tian pretty easily. But that's off the table now. The developers decided they didn't like that, so it is what it is. I think I remember something about if you went down the German path, you're able to get your tanks back. I mean, would that be under military? Loyalty has its own rewards. Decisions to purchase German armor motorized equipment. So, I mean, this is like pretty far down, though it looks like. But I don't know. So, guys, I think for this campaign, I'm going to try and play as the Zilli clique. And if you remember last time, we were playing as our boy Dogme down here in Shandong. Like that's who we were up against. The Zilli clique. They deposed Puyi, and we took them out, and then we cucked Zhang, and the better Zhang won. But we couldn't unify China because of Boris Savinkov, which sucked pretty hard. So I think I'm going to try the Zilli clique path. And for those of you who don't know, to get on the Zilli clique path, you have to go down the Manchu coup path, which requires you not to back anyone in the League Collapse War. So probably that sets you up to be a bit weaker than you would otherwise be. It's good to have someone in your faction against Fang Tian. But we're gonna have to ignore that, and then Puyi is gonna start his plotting, and then we can choose to either like notice some troop concentrations and like stop the coup in his tracks, or we can have our boys Wu Pei Fu and Cao Kun go have a meeting and have our bodyguards shoot down their bodyguards and win like that. So we'll see. But if I recall correctly, that's how you get on the Zilli clique path. It's unfortunate that they took the tanks away. That was light tank Qing was pretty cool. It's a pretty cool build, I thought, but that's off the table. So let's take stock here. We only have one national focus. I shouldn't have clicked that, guys. I have played this country like a few patches ago, but like you only have the one focus you can click, so it was kind of like a reflex click. But we'll go over this in a bit. You flip focus tree, I believe, when you take the Manchu Restoration. So I'm not as familiar with like the rest of the shit down here. And it has been a while, so we'll take stock like normal. So we are playing the Qing. Our leading party is the Harmony Association here, which I guess is Zilli aligned. Zilli being the clique of military leaders who are in charge of this area, and Puyi is kind of like their puppet. So we are authoritarian Democrat. We have 48% party popularity, which is not bad. And we are occupying some of Shangzi clique's territory over there. So that's like another rival warlord faction. I guess China at this time is split up in like the different provinces are owned by they're run by their own military governors. Pretty much, I guess, is the idea. And they're only nominally loyal to Puyi as the Qing emperor. Like really, they're off in their own separate faction, which is why they're separate companies. And I guess the main military faction broke up, and you wound up with the Zilli aligned guys. I think Sichuan is Zilli aligned right now with Yang Sen, and Sun Shanfang I think is also Zilli aligned. And over here, like they're like on the same like on the same team, and then Fang Tian is a rival team. And it was like the Beijing army, I think it was, and that broke up. And then they, when their leader died, and they split up into these different warlord factions. But we're the Zilli. We are nominally a part of the Qing Empire, as the we are playing as Qing. That faction falls apart very quickly. Uh, yeah, so our laws over here, we have volunteer only, which is usual, expert focus, which is usual, and civilian economy. So, I mean, yeah, okay, whatever. Government, we've got Calcoon, gives us political power gain. It's not bad. This gives us some planning speed at the cost of political power gain. I don't rate planning speed very highly as an ability. Uh, for the most part, like for like your offensive guys, it's really cheap to just use staff office plan and get a 400% boost, which is way bigger than any of the stuff you're going to get anywhere else. So that's that. Economy Minister, this guy costs us more political power and recruitable population factor, which isn't really going to matter with China too much, but we get some construction speed and factory outputs. Like, this is probably a pretty good trade. And this guy over here is construction speed and political power gain. We're at political power change 1.82, so we are a little bit low. We do have two guys sapping it, and it's still not awful compared to old Kaisereich, anyways. But like a lot of countries now, I've been noticing having around 2. Now that I'm doing these, now that I'm like running these videos and going through the stuff at the start, I've noticed a lot of places started around 2. So we are a little bit behind the curve, but it's not too bad. We do start with 2 military staff officers, which is nice. We've got Jiang Bailey here, who is School of Defense, and we've got Wu Peifu, who gives us, he's got a unique one called the Jade Marshal. He gives us political power gain and division attack at the cost of 5% supply consumption, which is, well, China doesn't have like the best supply, but our army is probably also not going to be the largest at the start. And division attack plus 10% is not bad. Do we have a decisive battle guy? For the political power gain, like, versus supply consumption, I would think you'd almost be better off with just like the standard, decisive battle. Is 0.1 political power worth 5% supply consumption? I don't know. But for the start of the game, when you need political power, that's fine. But when you start having a larger army, you might want to consider dropping Wu Peifu here. And it looks like he has his own write-up too. Widely recognized as China's foremost tactician and among its most daring strategists, Wu Peifu's fearsome reputation precedes him. Unlike many of his fellow generals whose achievements might end at military matters, Wu is also renowned as a Confucian man of principles, an esteemed philosopher general bridging the traditional divide between soldier and scholar. It is this gravitas that binds the empire together and grants him far-reaching influence outside the official political system. So this guy's like the head honcho of the Zili clique with his boy Calcoon over here. And because we're gonna go on their route, they're gonna be pretty important, I think. I've never done the Zili clique route before, but I would imagine they would be. We've got Fractured Empire, which is going to sap our recruitable population power, which isn't a huge deal. But it's also going to give us 15% consumer goods factories, which is pretty awful. And I guess that's because we theoretically control all of China outside of Manchuria, because I guess Feng Tian is... I've never played Feng Tian, so I'm not exactly sure what their lore is, but I guess they're being a bunch of rebellious dickholes. So that's that. We're powerless beyond the assembly floor. Oof. And we're, I guess, more interested in consolidating our power base over here than trying to exert control over all of China. We have overwhelming national debt, which is awful, at negative 20% construction speed, and a trade deal opinion factor is also kind of shit. I don't think we're going to need to import anything anyways. Like, that's not a huge deal right now, but that's still pretty bad. We have negative 10% organization because of a leadership crisis, which is bad, but of course we are a Chinese faction, so we are going to have army reform debuffs, as you'll see in a minute. So this is pretty awful, stacked on top of that even. And we've got Peking Commission influence level. Let's see here. The Peking Commission is Germany's primary agent for exerting control over areas directly controlled by Beijing. They directly fund the Prosperity League, a lobbying group that pushes for adoption of German industrial methods and free trade while also holding several seats on the assembly. So we get debuffs here for political power gain and production efficiency cap. This is probably why our power gain is low, despite us having all this other plus political power. It's the influence level, and that's tied to the Prosperity League. So I think Wu Peifu in like the Zili clique guy was historically anti-concessionist or what have you. Like, he wants forward influence out of China. So I think we're probably going to try and kick the Germans out. And we'll see how that goes. That's a pretty bad debuff too. It's like right away these national spirits like a real kick in the fucking pants. It's like, especially if you're industry early game, this is awful. So that's like our starting spot here on this screen. Decisions. So we have established administration, reintegrates concessions here. Like this is the ones I think we had as you saw I was playing as Shandong, and I think you get this basically the same thing when we were playing as Ma Zhongying in Kumokan doing a unification there. But like once you start taking over these different provinces, you can. This is like how you core them, and it costs you political power and power gains to do. So that's the coring mechanic. We don't control. We have a little bit of it looks like Shaanxi clique for Shaanxi province right now. But we don't control anything else. So once we start expanding, those will appear there. And of course, you always want a core. Minimize that for now. War propaganda. These are usual fixers. Maybe we'll want those later. Army reform. So it looks like we start with one army reform already done, which is nice. Unfortunately, it's kind of offset by the fact that we have this leadership crisis. I don't remember them having one completed before us. Maybe that's new. I don't know. But negative 40% organization is awful. So it's negative 50% total, which means our guys will fall back faster, or 50%, like twice as fast as they would normally because of these debuffs. And it's going to be very hard for us to increase our troops' experience level because they're going to be lost pretty easily. So this, like all the other China, is going to suck up a lot of your army experience early game, which makes attaché very important. Managing German influence. So these are a bunch of decisions that you can use to like kind of manipulate the market liberal popularity over here. I don't remember this being that bad. It's like I wonder if maybe this has been updated since last time I played to have that. But so let's see what our options are here. We have 15% German influence. I guess that is 15% we see over here. So it's probably a 50% popularity. So those numbers are probably all related. So we can pay 50 political power to knock it down by 5%. We can, let's see here, minus 8%. We'll have to pay consumer goods factories to encourage domestic production. Encourage anti-German boycott. So this is going to hurt both of our popularities, but it's free. And entice German financial support. This is going to increase their popularity, but it'll give us political power. Right, so you can choose to take a short-term hit for political power to screw yourself over here, and then try and deal with it later by change. So it's like a little game you can play. And this like decision tree, if I remember correctly, is like a little bit more interesting than some of the other ones because like you can actually try and get yourself an advantage. Like I think when I was doing the light tank build before, I used this decision over here to go and get this real quick. Like I would rush this using the entice decision, and some of the political power you get from your focus, and you use that to have that for your light tank 2 research. So you get cheaper light tanks. But it's nice to have those options. But of course, as Manchu Coup, you kick those guys out right quick. So this goes away. This whole thing goes away. It probably, I imagine, would be the same with the Zilli. But there's that. Like I think I would probably want to encourage domestic production. Like that might be something you want to do right away because you're on a toaster economy and you're like, how many factories do we have? We only have 2 factories anyway, right? So like you might as well, if you wanted to do that, you might as well do that and then get additional production efficiency cap. So you start growing. I think I might consider doing that right off the hop. And then legation councils, I guess we're aware of it, but we don't have a vote. I mean, those colonial bastards over here locking us out of our own fucking cities. Fuck them. Bunch of imperialist douchebags, I say. Alright, so those are our decisions. Like that's a little bit spicy for the Qing. Intelligence agency, we don't have one, can't get one, we don't have enough factories. Research slots, you get 3. Let's see what we get here. So we've got basic guns. Like right away, this is sad that we don't have 1936 guns. And that's it on the infantry equipment page. We have support companies, we have engineers and recon. It's not bad. Armor, we have the Weltkrieg air tank. Artillery, we have basic artillery. Land doctrine, we do not have a doctrine. And let's check our focus tree. Army is, I think, over here. I'll have to go through this tree later. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with this one. Trade interdiction. So that's a Navy focus. That's interesting. Research slot. Do we not get a doctrine boost? There's one for land doctrine there. It's any land doctrine. Oh yeah, okay, there they are. Any land doctrine, one boost. Right, so we can pick any land doctrine that we want. That's not going to be a problem. Navy, we have 1936 destroyers and 1920 cruisers. We do have the improved light guns research though, which is a bit surprising, but not bad at all. And we've got the we don't have the improved cruiser hull, but we have the armor scheme upgrade for cruisers. Also interesting. And we've got the Weltkrieger sub. Got some mines. We do not have transports. Naval doctrine. So I think when we're looking back over here, trade interdiction. Do we get anything if we go with the German route? German ships. So I guess Germany doesn't give you any. And if you go with Chinese tree, you get trade interdiction, which is fine. Trade interdiction is probably the one I'd want to pick anyways. But it looks like if you that's the dock you get the boost for. Planes, we have fighters, attack bombers, old interwar shit. So that's a little bit sad, but I know not a lot of the warlords are going to be fighting early game. Are going to have like an air force at all anyways. Air doctrine, don't have one, and I think you don't get doctrines over here. I don't think either. It's just a decision to purchase. So you can have any doctrine you want. You're not going to be punished for that in your focus tree. Engineering, we got nothing. Industry, we got nothing. Diplomacy. Great. I'm on the part where I'm stuck and I can't get to the screen again. Diplomacy. How do I see my own diplomacy score? This always aggravates me. In any case, I don't think we have that many treaties with anyone, but of course I'm having issues checking. We have docking rights to League of Eight provinces, and we're in a faction with these people, and we'll probably have a bunch of people who like us or don't, based off of our ideology. Open country list. There it is. It's open country list. It does it. Excellent. Yeah, so we've got a bunch of people in our faction who only somewhat like us, probably because we claimed their territory. And their faction is going to be dismantled anyways, and we've got docking rights, League of Eight provinces, who actually hate us. Okay. So there's that for diplomacy. Trade. We have a decent amount of steel, which is nice, and, well, I mean, decent for a regional power anyways, and nothing of anything else. Destruction, we only have 2 civilian factories available. Production, right now we're making artillery. So we've got like a few military factories, like a decent amount compared to like some of the other smaller warlords. And templates, I'll deal with production later. For templates, let's see what we got here. We got 6 with militia with support artillery, a Zili infantry division, okay. Manchu cavalry, so this is a 10 with cavalry with a recon. Imperial Guard, which I guess is I guess these are all special templates too that we can't use, and this one's being used. So Imperial Guard, we have 6 with infantry. National Infantry Division is an 18 with artillery and recon, and cavalry is 10 with cavalry. Okay. Imperial Guard, these guys are elite. Yeah, these guys are elite, but they're only 6 with, and we can't edit their template, which is a bit annoying. Like, I probably wouldn't want these guys being elite, but we can't take them off. So kind of wonky templates. Experimental armor brigade. So this is a 10 with 3 tanks, 2 infantry, and a support artillery. So, okay. Tiny little armor division, but you know it's an armor division. So what do we have here? We got that. That. Okay, so we have 7 units of 18 with infantry with artillery and recon. 1 armored division with the 3 tank and 2 infantry battalions, the support arty. We have 3 of these militia divisions with the artillery and 3 militia battalions. We have 2 cavalry divisions with the 10 width and no support. 2 cavalry divisions with 10 width and no support. I mixed it up. Yeah, so we have 2 cavalry divisions, 10 width and no support, and 2 cavalry divisions with the 10 width and the recon. And we have 1 unit of Manchu Imperial Guards with just this. It's like a pretty big army compared to some of the other warlords. And we have a tank unit, so that's nice. So what we want to do here is, like, I've noticed that a lot of our templates have artillery in them. So we probably do need to be making artillery. We probably only need 1 factory. Support equipment, we have a lot of guys on recon, so I guess we do that. We have Krieg era tanks we could be building. What kind of tanks does our armored division have? I need the unit card from the actual guy in the field, though. They are equipped with Krieg era tanks. Light tanks are a pretty good unit to have early in the game, like especially against these warlord faction guys. So I think we probably want to pick up that tech. Our construction is going to be shit for a while. This is negative 20% from this. Like, that's pretty rough. We only have 2 civilian factories anyway, so I think getting the construction tech is like a bit of a waste early game. Let's go down our focus tree. So we got Year of the Rat. We're gonna get event here, and I believe this gives us like a tiny amount of political power. Get a building slot and some infrastructure. We get some more political power, negative stability, and we get an emergency meeting of the Zilli, I guess. I can't remember what this event does, but I think there are a couple events that pop up early on that are going to cause you to lose political power too. So you get hit a little bit. So once you have this, you're gonna have some issues. So, and I think you're gonna get some events. You're gonna have to make some decisions, and the big one is how you intervene in the League collapse. So if you don't intervene, you're going to get this over here, and then that leads to the Manchu Restoration or Lessons of the Coup attempt, which makes it the Zilli clique, I believe. And if you stay with the Zilli clique, you can go and establish the new constitution. And if you do intervene, I think if you do, like one of these, I think Anqing gets you the one way, maybe. Yeah, Anqing gets you this tree, and then Nanjing gets you this tree, depending on who you decide to side with. And this one is how you deal with your overwhelming debt, and I guess a fractured empire. Gives you overwhelming debt. So if you intervene on Nanjing's behalf, you probably need to get rid of fractured empire some way else. Of course, if you pick Anqing, then you get it down here. It's good to get rid of that earlier on. That's the one that gives you the 15% consumer goods, which is pretty crippling. Future of the Zilli clique. So this is, you have a choice of going with either one of these guys as a plan to modernize your military government, I guess. And I think one guy gets you a bunch of forts. And one guy gets you like some other shit. I have to go through in details. Let's take a look actually. So go for our boy Jiang Bailey over here. So we're gonna get some decisions. And either of these guys, it gives you a bunch of decisions you have to click, and you have to pay whatever the cost is to do those decisions within a certain amount of time, or you're gonna have a problem. You get some sort of debuff, I think, if you don't do it fast enough. But so you come down this guy's plan, you get 2 civies, you get 3 mills, and you get another 4 mills. So 2 civies, 7 military factories. That's pretty good. So if you come down this guy's plan, 2 civies, 3 mills, and you get this national spirit, which gives you division attack on core territory and division defense on core territory at the cost of some political power. I don't know. 4 mills seems pretty tasty. And attack on core territory, defense on core territory is not all that spicy. I think I would probably go with Jiang Bailey over Liu Mangang. But I think like you get these decisions, and some of these guys' decisions will do different stuff. I think if I remember correctly, we'll have to play it out. It's like I said, it's been a long time since I played these guys. But you'll get decisions, and I don't remember what those decisions do. So maybe there is a reason that offsets this discrepancy. I think over here, maybe his decisions are a little bit better. I'm not sure. You know what? For this game, I'll go with Liu Mangang. And we'll see what his decisions get us. Well, I'll make that commitment. We'll just do this. And then regardless, we're going to get some civilian factories, some building slots. These are probably resource decisions to get some industry. And then you're going to get the decisions to rebuild your alliance, destroy isolated warlords, secure the interiors. These are like unification decisions to go to war. And I guess some integration. I guess you have to unlock your integrations using one of these focuses. You don't get it for free like we do with some of the other guys, I guess. Or no, you get them, but maybe these give you a buff, I guess. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But it looks like you can either get them faster, or you can get them a little bit faster, or a lot bit faster at the cost of stability. And of course, these integration decisions they are active for a while. Like I think, does it say how long it's active? 90 days. Yeah, 90 days, and for the larger provinces, it goes up, I think. So we'll see. War of National Resistance. This gets rid of the fractured empire. And this is if you're at war with Empire of Japan. It's like if you come down over here and you side with Qing, looks like you can get rid of this national spirit faster without having to be at war with Japan. Otherwise, you'd have to be at war with Japan to get rid of it. And yes, these are just more war goals in the United China. So that's like the Zilli Clique tree over here. And you're not going to get these if you side with if you go the Zilli Clique route, because in order to get on the path, you can't side with Qing, you can't side with Nanjing. So like we're not going to worry about these two. We're not going to have access to them. We're not going to get Manchu coup. So a new constitution. What are we going to get over here? We're going to get again an event that doesn't say what it does, which is annoying. But presumably this has to do with dealing with our overwhelming national debt. And then we're going to have, looks like, some options. You can go with Wellington Q, who I think is like a banker, if I remember correctly. Or this guy, Hu Shi. Not sure who he is. So he gives us political power gain and stability. This guy gives us trade deal opinion factor. And 100 political power too, which is nice. So I don't know. We'll have to pick one of these guys. And, fuck over the Sokons. Okay. So get some party popularity and stability. We get a bunch of military factories. I guess this is like dealing with our enemies. Military factories, civilian factories, stability, and political power gain. Not bad. You get a lot more factories than you do on this tree anyways. 2 mills. Some research bonuses, research slot. You get a research slot over here. Looks like no. Looks like no. That's interesting. So you get an extra research slot if you go with the Germans. Huh. I think there is a research slot down over here too for Peking University. So that's interesting. So it looks like if you side with Nanjing, you're allowed to get an extra research slot. So that's pretty cool. That's like kind of a reason to side with them. I think if you start going down the German shit, though, this gives you market liberalism. So like you're gonna have to play that game with the decisions, or it's gonna really fuck up your economy. So it's not all fun and games with the Germans, I guess. But you get a lot of factories over here, like 6 factories, pretty nice, and political power gain. Block of 100 political power is nice too. So like that's the path we're going to be going. That's what we're going to be getting. And I decided that I said we'll go with Liu Mang Gang this time, even though it costs us 4 military factories. I don't know. Maybe something about this will be good, but we'll try it out. And then we have our military tree down here, and we're not going to be doing loyalty as its own rewards because we're not going to be siding with the Germans. A reorganized warlord division. So what this does is it's okay. So it says enable editing of auxiliary infantry division template and training or disbanding units belonging to it. That's interesting. If I remember correctly, when I used to play this, when I played a few times before, what that did is it disbanded all of your auxiliary infantry divisions, and then like a few months later, you got like decent infantry divisions instead. Like it was like a conversion, but it looks like that's been changed at some point. And this will breach dams. So I guess this is to I think this has to do with something. Didn't Mao Zedong do something like this? I don't know. My Chinese history is not that great, but I think he broke some dams to flood out some nationalists or something like that. So maybe you think you're Mao Zedong over here with these breach dams here against Feng Tian. On our own, so we'll be doing this. We're going to get some other supply minus 10%, supply consumption minus 10%. That's a nice spirit to have, especially in China. 2 bonuses for support artillery. Okay, that's pretty fat, and you get it pretty early. And 1 research bonus for support tech. Artillery, unfortunately, is not like I don't really like artillery that much, but they're handing out bonuses like candy apparently. So there you go. Work with Manchu generals, or we can hire Republican officers. So we will be doing former Republican officers. We'll have to take this. And this is going to get us land doctrine and some army experience. So okay, that's like 60 days for land doctrine is like not great, but it's all right. It's better than the 7 days for 1 land doctrine, that's for sure. We'll be able to hire foreign advisors and mercenaries. I'm not sure what that does, but we'll have to see. Purchase foreign weapons. Bonuses for air, bonuses for ships, bonuses for trade interdiction, air doctrine, and a research slot. Unfortunately, it looks like the tank stuff is over here. If we go on our own, our research bonuses are for support artillery and for fighters and attack bombers. So it's good that we spotted that before we started getting too far into this campaign. So now that I know that, maybe we'll have to we'll be playing like more of an infantry and air game, I guess, and our tanks are going to be late. So it's important to spot that. I don't know why I'm looking at this. Okay, so let's go with national focus. You do Year of the Rat. So Wu Peifu and Cao Kun will be giving a speech. Start of the new year. So we got that. Research is, I'm going to go ahead and pick up the light tanks, I think. Is that a good idea, though? Like, I think it is. Let's take a look at our generals. Do we have any guys who are decent? Hey, I gotta think about this, because like the other option would be to go for like an air-based strategy, and we'd pick up the tactical bomber as a first research, and maybe start building some of that. We do get a research boost for tactical bombers, of course, to be able to rush tac bomber too. I'm also not sure, because probably we'd want to be doing this stuff, or I guess going down this guy's path, like as soon as it's available to get our factories, as well as this stuff over here. So like, it might be a pretty long time before we're able to actually touch the army tree anyways. And you don't want to start researching stuff if you're not going to be building it right away, or you're not going to be using it to get a rush right away. And this is pretty far. It's like a few focuses down to like at least a year. So, and I think you are going to want to get tank tech eventually. You need tanks, you need planes. And even if you're not going to use them right away, if you don't keep up, you find yourself behind, you're going to be in a rough spot once it starts getting around 1940. and you don't have any actual decent units. So like machine tools is a no-brainer. We'll get this first, and then I think we'll go with the electromech, and then I think I'll use this to bump our electromech. Just get that done a little bit faster. It seems to be like just like a general good idea to do at the start. Like the earlier you get this, it's a fast technology. You save 30 days off it, and you get the extra 3% for the whole game. So we'll do that, and I think I will pick up the light tank, and we can start building some light tank. Like 9 infantry and 1 tank is like a pretty, like we could take like the national division here and just throw a tank into it to get 20 width and use it as like a breakthrough unit, and they'll probably be pretty good against most warlords. So I think that's something to go for there. Civilian factories. What do we want to build? Of course, the factories are a little bit fucked. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and encourage an anti-German boycott. We'll encourage domestic production. So that'll take a chunk out of their popularity. And what else does this hit? Efficiency cap and political power gain. Let's just go ahead and encourage an anti-German boycott. Bribe pro-German lobbyists. Okay. No, we're not going to spend political power. Let's just go ahead and do this. We'll do 5 for 5. That seems like a good deal. And that should really help our... like, we can afford to lose 5. That's not going to hurt. That's not going to hurt us that much. And getting extra production efficiency cap will be big. Before we do tanks, so we're going to want to get our rifle. We absolutely do not want to be building this stuff. So we'll do that. Decisions available. We're not going to need to be notified about that. I don't care about legation council either. This stuff we will want. This stuff we will want. So that's fine. Construction. Do you want to build infrastructure? We could trade. Yeah, we have nothing that's worth trading for. And we're using our factories to clear that German debuff. So we don't have any available anymore anyways. Like that's fine. Unassigned divisions. Alright, let's split it up. We'll have our cavalry in place. And these guys and this guy. Like, I mean, these guys are all probably just a reliant infantry. Some of them are worse than others. And we'll put our tanks in our offensive block. So these guys, I guess, can be blue. Your infantry. Our cavalry can be yellow. That's our tanks. Go figure. Our tanks can be yellow, or cavalry can be yellow, and our tanks will be black. So we'll organize our army like that, and let's see what we have for our generals here. So you have Wu Peifu, who is an old guard, so he's not going to be any experienced fast at all. Especially because he's also politically connected, but he is a war hero and he does have brilliant strategist, and he's got level 5 attack already at level 3, so that's like pretty sick. Breakthrough. He hasn't got any traits yet, but we can pick some for him later. So we've got this guy, and then we've got Jiang Billy over here, who's our defensive guy. He has inflexible strategist, but they gave him offensive doctrine. That's a little bit silly, and he's got the same awful combo of politically connected and old guards. Like, these guys are like not really worth like investing that much into. But unyielding defender is pretty good. Unfortunately, he can't get defensive doctrine, which is like a bit of a whiff. We've got him. So I think right away We will have Mr. Bailey take over the infantry. He'll probably be defensive. We might not want to sign some guys because we might want to send volunteers. We don't want guys locked up in transport. But let's see who else we got here. So we got Liu Mangang, who's got cautious, which is like okay to avoid not being wounded. And he's an infantry officer, so okay, that's fine. Wang Changbin, politically connected is not great. Cavalry officer, again, politically connected, but also a substance abuser, which doesn't really actually, I don't know if this actually does anything. Also politically connected over here. This is one of the Manchu guys who are probably going to be purging. Wang. Oh wow! So we got general bios here too. It looks like on a lot of these guys. Maybe if we get some of our guys like at a high enough level, they've been with us a game. Maybe I'll go and read some of those. We got trickster and infantry experts. I mean, like that's all right for like an infantry guy. Guerrilla fighter, again, politically connected with our boy Kai here. Infantry officer, war hero, politically connected. A lot of these guys are politically connected, which kind of sucks. We have an artillery officer, so we could play with artillery divisions. We have two research bonuses for artillery, so like that might be something that we want to do. And we have a guy who's got the trait. Cav, reckless. Armor officer, also reckless though. Yeah, it's like our general roster is kind of dog shit. I'm not gonna lie. These guys are not great. Not great at all. A lot of politically connected. You got reckless. Not great. Like none of these guys really stands out to me as like being any good, to be honest. Like our best guy is probably this guy over here, and he's he's an infantry guy. Trickster and infantry leader are both pretty good, and he doesn't have politically connected, but he's also going to farm slow because he's already got 2 learned traits. Or like maybe this guy. And infantry officers also, I think, weighted heavily towards defense. It's not something that you want. Like if you're going to farm a guy up to be our tank commander, like probably this guy would be your best pick. He's got war hero, which would be attack weighted. And he doesn't have any learned traits already, so we'll learn traits pretty quickly. So he would probably be our pick. Yeah, it's just a bit sad. A bit sad. And like that might be like this guy would be okay too if we decide to play with artillery, but like I don't know. I don't really like playing with artillery. Maybe we'll this game because we do get the 2 research bonuses for it. Bit of a whiff. And it's really unfortunate this guy's reckless. Otherwise that would be our tank guy, right? But he is unfortunately reckless. Of course, if your general is wounded, you can't use any of his abilities. So if he's your imp guy who you farmed and you've got improv expert, no crossing bridges for you, right? Not going to happen when you're wounded, and you have a higher chance of getting wounded. So like that's something you'd like to avoid if you can. So that's our army. Those are our generals. Air Force, we have 25 attack bombers and 50 fighters. So that's something. Navy, we have an actual navy. And it looks like, so these are level 1 armored battleships. It's probably the same as all the other guys that starter level 1 battleship. So we got those. We have 1 capital cruiser. Level 1 stuff. And escort cruisers. These are all Weltkrieg era. Oh no, these aren't even battleships. These are pre-dreadnoughts, which are even worse. The Wu Wei class. Yeah, so this is like an actual battleship, and this is like a pre-dreadnought, which is one of the custom Kaisereich ships, which is like a pre-battleship. Like look at the stat difference, right? Like speed is shittier, range is like a lot worse, lower hit points, much lower reliability, which means they'll get critically hit more often. Armor, they're gonna have the same armor module, so that's gonna be the same, and I think the guns can depend on your guns module. This only has 1 guns module. I think this one has 2. So, Not great that your army has. Not great that you have 3 dreadnoughts. He's not happy about that. And it looks like we have 6 cruisers. What do we have in a cruiser here? It's like some light guns, some torpedoes, and anti-air. What about over here? Light guns, torpedoes, and level 2 engine on this one, and like an extra anti-air. And destroyers, we've got some destroyers over here. Weltkrieg era. Just have a light gun. Some fire control modules. Like that's real basic. Just fine for an escort or like just a screen. And these ones over here, which is the double turret and a torpedo tube. 2 torpedo tubes, like actually like a line destroyer. So I mean, those are alright. Unfortunately, like having a big ass navy as a Qing, I don't know how much mileage you're able to get. I mean, it's not really a big ass navy, but it's something compared to the warlords to get like pretty much nothing. But having naval superiority, I'm not sure how much of an advantage it's going to give us. Like, of course, like your main enemy is Fengtian, and they're going to have Japanese Japan helping them out probably. That's going to give you a rough time. You're definitely not going to be the Japanese Navy with that. But you get one, and who we have over here in charge? Wow, this guy's got like a ton of traits. He's gentlemanly, battleship adherent, and naval lineage. That's cool, I guess. And we got some of these other guys over here. Career officer leadership experience gain 10%. Naval AA attack minus 20%. Seems not great. Yeah, I don't know. He's our best general, though. But he's got some issues. I'm just gonna go with Wu Renly over here. Congratulations, bud. You're in charge now of our fleet. She'll be Well, remember that we have that. Like in some of the wars against southern warlords, like down over here, like some of this terrain can be pretty cancerous to push through. There's like a lot of mountains and shit. It's like if you get a sneaky naval invasion down here and just take Wangs out or something like that, maybe that's something that we want to do. And we get some dockyards. We get 4 dockyards even. Let's build a couple convoys. What do we got here? I think this is our. I don't remember seeing any of these, but this has a depth charge. A light ship hull. Yeah, let's go ahead and build some. Let's go ahead and just build some destroyers. I guess this is fine. And we'll save this to bump and assign division. So let's say I missed a few of these guys over here. So we actually have a bit more militia than I thought. We're on 5. 5 militias. Cool. So I think that's it. We'll just keep this up over here. We have 10k rifles and 1k artillery in storage, actually. So we could just like go ahead and train some more guys. Let's actually do that then. Go for a one-time. And let's go ahead and get started. The Great Qing, the internationally mediated end of the last Zili-Fengtian War. So I guess that's the conflict between our Zili clique and the Fengtian clique. Brought an end to nearly 4 years of chaos and instability, and the longest period of peace enjoyed by some parts of China since the Xinhai Rebellion of 1911. The Wu Peifu and his northern Zili clique accepted the return of the Manchu monarchy. Further German concessions were refused, leading to a cooling of relations. Germany continues to maintain support for the Qing government, but mainly with the aim of ensuring consistent competition with the also supported southern Zili as part of a larger divide and conquer strategy in China as a whole, as well as in hopes of gradually building a Chinese bulwark against Japan. Though the specter of Japanese domination looms across much of northern and eastern China, the country is nonetheless far more divided than most in Beijing would prefer, and Qing finds its authority contested on all sides. From the defiant Fengtian government in the northeast to the various ostensible allies across the remainder of China, nominal components of the empire is granted near total autonomy by grace of geography and regionalist sentiment. As a result, Qing enters 1936 largely contained to the North China Plain and at the head of a faltering national order. Long live the emperor. The political situation. 1936 finds a powerless assembly on the brink. 5 groups dominate the body, and although they have no power in the chamber, the groups that support them are not to be trifled with. The most powerful of these is the Harmony Association, nominally led by President Cao Kun. A depressed alcoholic, true power in the group resides with Wu Peifu. He founded the association as a legitimizing movement to ensure Zili representation in the assembly. While nominally an independent political party, the Harmony Association's deputies are all former Zili officers, and following Cao Kun's legally dubious re-election, few believe the group is anything more than a front for Wu to control the country. The Prosperity League occupies a similar position, and while it claims to be a political party, few see it as any more than a lobbying group for German interests in Beijing. This leaves 3 parties in the opposition: the Manchu Party, comprised of Qing princes and former royal hangers-on; the Young China Party, a clique of young officers of the Beijing Academy styling themselves after the Young Turk Party; and the New Chinese Empire Reformation Association, a fusion of 2 reform groups that, while loyal to the emperor, favor a structural reorganization of China back to the traditional model of to the rural village and the end to warlord cliques. While these 3 groups are in opposition to Wu, he allows them seats in the powerless assembly as a way to legitimize his unpopular regime. Interesting. All right, we don't have. So we have one. We have one civ. We just got some for trade. What do we want to do here with our civvy? I guess we'll just start building a civ. And it'll be a while, but we might as well get some points onto it now. I'm not sure what that event was. Just kind of it got in my way. I was annoyed and I clicked. So sometimes that's how she goes with pop-ups. Observer rights on the Legation Council. The Legation City is officially known as the International Mandate for the Chinese Concessions, reformed in 1928 after the Jade Wind incident, when a European passenger train was attacked by Kuomintang bandits. Mostly designed to halt the Zili-Fangtian conflict that was destabilizing the Far East, the Americans also intended it to serve as a tool for their open-door policy, allowing access to Chinese markets to all Western nations and Japan. Pursuant to these imperialist aims, the Beijing government has been cut out of all decision-making processes on the Legation Council, despite nominally leasing their territory from us. We have observer status in the council and are able to get a view into the decisions being taken in their meetings, but beyond that, our interactions with the body are limited at the governmental level. We deserve a voice in Shanghai. Restructuring our debt. For the last few years, Wu and Cao spent most of their political capital attempting to restructure and reduce the enormous debt of the Qing Empire. While theoretically possible, this plan has run into numerous challenges, the chief being a lack of support from the provincial governors. Rumors of instability in the south also have further complicated these plans, and Cao Kun is expected to deliver a speech on reducing the national debt to the assembly after the New Year celebrations later this month. We will await the speech. Sale of the Zhegan Railroad. The past few weeks have seen a great deal of economic activity in the League of Eight Provinces, southern conglomerate of provinces ruled by our nominal subordinate Sun Fang. Even more heavily influenced by the German economic support than we are, the League just finished construction of a major railroad, the Zhegan Line. Though funded by the Germans, it was largely built by Chinese labor, leading many to hope for a more equitable relationship between German and Chinese in the League, at least in economic affairs. A few days ago, in a surprising move, the AOG publicly announced its plans to purchase and consolidate a number of eastern railways on behalf of their subsidiary group, the Shantung Eisenbahn Gesellschaft, including this new Zhegan route. This move angered many native Chinese residents of the League who saw the Zhegan Line as a potential building block in an equal relationship between Europeans and Asians. Widespread protests have broken out, inflamed by the conspiracies of fraud and embezzlement on the part of Sun's cronies. We'll need to keep an eye on this. Chinese New Year. In a long, somewhat rambling speech to mark the Chinese New Year, Assembly President Cao Kun addressed the need to restore the glory of the Qing Empire, unite the country, and repay the debt burdening the economy. He laid out a 3-point plan. Government subsidies and tax cuts would be given to light manufacturing industries. Farmers would be granted tax cuts to grow edible plants instead of cash crops, and increased tax on provincial governors. The speech is met with polite applause. So we get 30 political power. Nice. And we go, I guess we'll go and get this infrastructure first. Or, do we have enough war support? Yeah, we can go up to partial even. Okay. Let's actually go for these this new taxes for the 25 political power. German mining companies increased their operations in eastern Shaanxi. The Shaanxi region has always been a good source of coal and useful metals for the empire. Following the Fourth Zili-Fengtian War, we gained direct control of eastern Shaanxi, a slim area of land that used to belong to Yan Zhishan's Shaanxi clique. Our ownership of eastern Shaanxi has been the cause of tensions between us and the Shaanxi clique, but for now they are unable to compete with our military strength. Much like the rest of Shaanxi, this area is rich with coal and iron. Multiple German companies took an interest in eastern Shaanxi, and so purchased the coal and iron mines there. These mines sit very close to the border with Shaanxi clique, but this has not yet been a problem. However, news just came in that these eastern Shaanxi companies are going to increase their mining operations and have presented plans that show some of their mines falling into Shaanxi-controlled territory. We personally do not need to worry about this, but it is likely to cause some problems in the Shaanxi clique, with many peasants feeling robbed that these German companies are taking their mines. We wish them good luck with their business ventures. Totalist Charter. Widespread attacks on foreigners. Oof. Following the unrest surrounding the Zegen Railroad, a number of German investors and businessmen have been savagely attacked by rabid anti-foreign mobs. To make matters worse, widespread protests and boycotts of German goods have begun in the south, and this morning reports reached Beijing of bombings of railway stations in Huangzhou and other cities on Central China Railway. Transportation is ground to a halt in many regions of the League, and KMT guerrillas have used this opportunity to stage increasingly daring attacks and isolate League garrisons. The German ambassador is demanding accountability, and while the League is largely autonomous from our control, we still need to do something. Zhang Bailey and other Zili officials have long pushed to exert greater control over the League, and urging Wu to use this crisis to leverage greater control over the South. Wu is personally uncertain of this, but is currently drafting a telegram to demand accountability from Sun and offer our help should he need it. Unsaid, of course, is a demand for increased control over League affairs should he accept our help. Let's see what Sun has to say. New taxes. The Wuhu incident. Troubling information reached Luoyang and Beijing this morning. While reports are somewhat contradictory, it appears there was some sort of a massacre of peaceful protesters by League and German troops in the city of Wuhu. Some claim German troops simply mowed down the protesters, while others claim a group of KMT radicals attacked the Germans and League troops first. Whatever the cause, the city has fallen into anarchy and protests have sprung up all over the League. Ironically, at the same time we received this information, we received a report from Sun claiming he has the situation under control. Some Zili generals are pushing for a major intervention in the south should the situation deteriorate further, but Wu has yet to take a clear position on the issue. Further exacerbating our problems, an informant we have placed within the NCRA claims they have somehow received information on the situation and are planning to give a scathing speech later in the assembly today. Harmony Association officials are attempting to rouse Calhoun from a drunken stupor and write a counter speech, but we've been caught off guard. Under control, my ass, and that's going to cost us 30 PP. So we're going to let that event expire so we can hopefully hit the 100 benchmark and get early mob. And we'll go ahead on, what's our political power gain? Yeah, we'll go ahead and get encouraging export farming. Do we want to do any of this stuff? We could get 50 PP from there. I don't know. I'll think about that later to get us to partial mode. Maybe that's worth it. Anhui breaks free. The province of Anhui, long chafing under Sun's rule, essentially declared independence from the League this week. In a widely distributed pamphlet, Governor Chen Tiaoyan claimed that the Wuhu incident shows that Sun cannot manage the crisis and essentially abrogates him from any responsibility in Anhui. Some Zili generals have unilaterally begun to mobilize their troops against KMT incursions, though Wu rightfully suspects their true intention is a territorial expansion. Seeking to undercut their opportunity to invade, he declared a national state of readiness this morning to all Zili and Manchu generals, urging them to ready their troops for any possible armed conflict. Confused Zili troops have largely fallen in line with Wu, and any premature attack south was effectively ended before it began. Let's hope this keeps them in line. Alright. Do this. Zhang Zongshang severs ties with Beijing. The position of Shandong Governor Zhang Zongshang had always been tenuous at best. An erratic, violent man, Zhang previously held close ties to Zhang Zulin of the Fengtian government, though he had been kept loyal to Beijing through bribery and lavish commissions. It appears he has used the chaos enveloping to the south, however, to cast us aside. This morning, a member of our tax collectors were halted at the provincial border, and spies within the province report he has carried out mass purges of Qing loyalists. Even worse, they're reporting him and making contact with Zhang Zulin and the Japanese. Damn you, dog meat general! I don't remember, when we played as Longchang, I don't remember an event that gives us a decision on whether or not we want to stay loyal to Beijing or side with Japan. I think you just fall in with Zhang Zulin. I don't think you have a choice. The only decisions we got were about that, what to do with the one spy, whether we cut him off at the border or we search his house or something. I think, right? And what to do with Mount Tai and the honored teacher. So that's interesting. Damn you, dog meat general. Refugees flee League chaos. With widespread unrest sweeping the League of 8 provinces, Governors Jin Yune of Henan and Zhao Yaonan have reported increasing numbers of refugees flooding into their provinces. Although it started as a trickle over the course of the last few days, the flow dramatically increased, with whole families fleeing an explosion of violence and banditry. The governors have sent worrying telegrams after some of their men interviewed some of the refugees, indicating central authority within the League has collapsed far more than previously thought. Furthermore, they have requested additional food and supplies to deal with the refugees. My political power. Oh, jeez. Chen Tiaoyuan sends a telegram. To the eminent President Cao Kun and Imperial Minister Wu Peifu, I, Governor Chen Taoyuan, humbly ask you for funding for my troops. As outlined in the Constitution of a great nation, it is the responsibility of the national government to provide funds to provincial governors to suppress unrest. With the situation of League Marshal Sun and Nanjing unclear, I have taken the responsibility of protecting the province of Anhui against bandits and leftist agitators. A telegram was delivered to Wu Peifu this morning from the Anhui Governor Chen Taoyuan of the Anqing clique. While the tone of the letter was very bold, it appears Chen has restored order to the province. Wu is faced with a choice. Chen would appear to be a powerful ally, but he has a firm anti-concession stance. Supporting him in the long term would alienate Germany, whose support will be essential in the inevitable war against Japan. At the same time, taking a stance against Germany would undoubtedly endear Wu with the population. Of course, we can't support him because we're going for the Zilli clique path in the coup attempt, so we'll have to refuse. No funds for rebels. Refugees flee chaos. We have 100 yet, almost. Death of Wang Chengbin. Jeez. Oh man, even worse. Earlier this morning, Wang Chengbin, a senior member of the Zilli clique and major ally of Cao Kun, passed away due to old age. While his death in and of itself is a blow to our command structure, it reveals a worrying trend. Many senior Zilli military officials are of old age, poor health, or both. And the corruption endemic in our military prevents younger officers from advancing through the ranks. Unless a serious effort is made, our high command will soon consist solely of doddering, senile old men terrified of adapting new technologies and doctrines. What about old age being wisdom? Who's Wang Chengbin? This guy over here. Okay. Division org, another minus 10%. Brutal. Fifth Angle Afghani War. Anarchists in France. That's interesting. Alright, so we got this. Go to early mob. We'll send some supplies. And I guess we're going to take the hit anyways, so is what it is. Another offer to Chen. Following our refusal to aid, our refusal of aid to Anhui Governor Chen Taoyuan of the Anqing clique, worrying reports began to emerge that he reached out to Zhang Zulin, leader of the rogue Fentian government in the northeast. Even more worrying is his use of a Japanese interlocutor to facilitate the conversation. Several of Wu's advisors suggesting the marshal reach out again to Chen with an offer of direct support in his rebellion. Thus, we end up with a Japanese lapdog right on our doorstep. Beyond just Japanese support for Chen, however, it also seems that many non-intervention could lead to widespread domestic unrest. Many in both the opposition parties and the Zilli clique itself are itching for an opportunity to extend their control into the chaos of the collapse, and already small protests in favor of Governor Chen's anti-concessionist stance have broken out across the urban areas. Staying silent could result in these protests escalating, further destabilizing an already unpopular regime. So we have to do this in order to get on the path that we want. Yiguan Dao take over Shandong. Oof. Well, I don't know if that's good or bad for us. Probably bad. Well, Zhang Zongchang was definitely in the pocket of Feng Tian and friends, so I guess it can't be worse than that. Yiguan Dao take over Shandong. The esoteric millenarian sect known as the Yiguan Dao have reportedly taken over Shandong province, ousting our erstwhile governor Zhang Zongchang. While initially concern ran high that this sect would create chaos in our lands, level heads prevailed, pointing out Zhang's well-documented Feng Tian loyalty. The cult is isolated, and once the chaos to the south is stabilized, we may be able to attack them. But this could cause unrest with a sizable number of adherents to the religion has within our territory. Interesting. Well, Shanking Tianguo declared. The honored teacher, export farming. That's emergency meeting of the senior ZD members. Poland declares the Republic. Okay. Austrian Empire withdraws from Italy. Bloodbath on the Yangtze. Despite their best efforts to deal with the influx of refugees, the governors of our southern provinces are overwhelmed. Following a province-wide declaration of martial law made in Hubei, Governor Xiao Yaonan ordered his troops to shut down all bridges and roads leading into the province from League territory, and denying entry to all refugees. A large number of them, however, began to mass at a bridge over the Yangtze River demanding entry. While this started peacefully, it quickly escalated into a full-scale riot as refugees began to pellet Xiao's troops with rocks, bottles, and other debris. Eventually, a group of men who had somehow armed themselves with stolen weapons began shooting at Xiao's troops, who responded by opening fire with machine guns. Those not hit by the storm of bullets fled, stampeding other refugees and leaving their friends and family dead or dying on the bridge. This grisly scene is being repeated up and down our border with the League as mobs of refugees have started to force their way into our territory. Unfortunate news. Wu's nightmare. For the past few weeks, Wu Peifu's dreams have been terrifying. Tonight he sees Beijing burning and the ghost of Sun Yat-sen stepping from a collapsing forbidden city and approaching a frozen Wu. Just as he reaches his hand out to touch him, he is awoken by an alarmed official. Apologies for waking you, Commissioner, but this is urgent. He hands Wu a telegram. Before scuttling away, blinking back sleep, Wu opens the telegram. Reading the characters, his hands start shaking. His worst nightmares have become a reality. Son shot yesterday. Perpetrator unclear. In coma. Unlikely to wake. Riots widespread. Fleeing with gold and documents. 2 hours later, the Luoyang is a frenzied hub of activity. Documents concerning Sun's more salacious dealings with Beijing burn in furnaces, while a group of senior Zili officials confer with one another. In an unprecedented move, Wu has decided to invite several Manchu nobles, notably Puji, to present for the drafting of some form of unified statement in response to the assassination. God help us all. An offer for Marshal Qi. Marshal Qi? I don't know. Qi? I guess if we're the king, the Qing, it's got to be Qi. Following our refusal of Governor Chen's telegram, a message has arrived from Qi Ziyuan, who has declared himself the new League Marshal of the 8 provinces, succeeding Sun Chanfeng. To the most auspicious Marshal Wu, I, Qi Ziyuan, request your aid in suppressing this rebellion in Anhui. As you are my Legion commander, it is only proper that you assist me in my time of need. The tone of this request leaves many suspicious, as theoretically Qi should be able to easily crush Anqing and the KMT rebellion to the south with German aid. He can handle it on his own. Imperial Navy flees north. Lacking any suitable ports in the south, the Imperial fleet has been based out of Nantong since the end of the 1927 conflict. With rioting, civil unrest, and general chaos enveloping the city, Admiral Wu Renli has ordered the fleet to leave the city and head north for the small ports we control outside of Tianjin. The fall of Nanjing docks also means we've lost the limited naval manufacturing capabilities we had. Damn. Damn. The illusion of Qing hegemony shatters. The facade of Chinese unity having held together for nearly a decade has begun to crumble. Rising unrest in the League of 8 provinces, the economic shock of Black Monday, pretending German retrenchment, and the inability of our government to effectively deal with the crisis has made one thing clear. Our monopoly on power is broken. We must now attempt to deal with the chaos. This will not go well. Where's the fleet at? Emergency meeting of senior Zili members. Emergency meeting of the Zili. Following the collapse of the League to the south, we have gathered nearly all senior Zili-aligned military officers in Luoyang. As the meeting starts, Marshal Wu Peifu opens with a short statement. Fellow soldiers, time has come. With the collapse of the League, we are for the first time since the Zifang War in a precarious situation. Every choice we make over the next few weeks will determine the outcome of China for decades to come. I would like to remind some, he says, glancing at the more hawkish members of the Assembly, that intervention is not necessarily the most sound course of action. We need to weigh our options first before committing. The various generals nod in agreement and begin a series of discussions on the best course of action. We need to be careful. Oh. Uprisings in Fujian. When most of China and the world assumed the Kuomintang were destroyed in 1927, League Marshal Sun had been fighting a low-intensity guerrilla conflict with the remnants of the KMT since the end of the Northern Expedition in the Fujian area. Reports were censored from the press, and even Wu Peifu remained largely unaware of the true scope of the conflict, with Sun keeping all details tightly under wraps. With the current chaos in the League, however, the remnants of the KMT have re-emerged and declared a new campaign of national reunification. They have declared our rightful government illegitimate, calling us little more than a German puppet, slaving to the whims of Berlin. We can only hope that the remnants of Sun's forces can put these traitors down. Despicable traitors. Ripples of Black Monday. Well, in the weeks following Black Monday, it appeared that we had escaped the worst of the damage. Over the last few days, German-affiliated businesses have been hit hard with supply chain issues and increased prices. With the economic disruption, it's nowhere near the scale experienced in Europe and the Americas. It's still blown to our economy. That's going to cost us some 10% consumer goods factories for a little bit. Okay, and we have to wait for some more events before we continue down the street. We have to deal with unrest. Alright, got electromech engineering done. Alright, there goes the League War. Oh, what tech should we pick? Go fire, go close air support, get another research. We could also start in a doctrine. I think we'd probably go superior firepower. You might want, especially the extra org for infantry coming up close. Mobile warfare though, 15 org. 20% breakthrough. That might be a rate. Might be worth it to go mobile. I mean, D-Battle seems like that might be okay too. Hmm. Doctrine probably is a good pick. I think I'm going to go with this, we'll start with light tank research here. Widespread rioting breaks out. Following Wu and Cao's silence on LDP-related affairs, small protests began to emerge, clamoring for intervention. As the silence continued, these gatherings quickly grew into large street protests, with Cao finally announcing that he would support neither Xi nor Chen. The protests erupted into riots. Beijing and other major cities are paralyzed by the unrest, and nearly everyone, from the richest intellectual to the poorest street vendor, are in the streets denouncing the government. Adding fuel to the fire, a wild conspiracy theories that Wu was paid off by German legation not to intervene, leading many demonstrators to carry anti-German slogans and burn German-made goods. In one instance, crude effigies of the Kaiser, Wu, and Cao were all burned outside the Forbidden City before perpetrators were hauled away in chains. Damn it! Southern governors cut contact. With violence and the League escalating daily, the governors of Yunnan, Tangjiao, and Guangdong, Chen Jiangming, have stopped responding to official government requests for information and updates on what is happening in their territory. They have long despised their government, and while this move is not unexpected, it represents a complete change in their official demeanor to our government. Many in Wu's inner circle fear that this heralds the complete collapse of our authority, and this morning news out of Shaanxi confirms these worries. Yan Zishan, governor of Shaanxi, has formally denounced the actions of our government in what is now being termed the Yangtze Incident. Earlier this week, when Governor Wang HOI4's forces fired upon a mob of refugees and proclaimed that Qing no longer had the capacity to rule China. He stopped just short of recognizing the Fengtian government, but it's clear that the national order is breaking down. Damnation! Let's deal with this unrest. The Guangang, a coalition of two of the former 8 provinces of the eponymous league, succeeded from both the agglomeration of a regime as a whole this morning. Under the command of scholar bureaucrat Chen Jiangming, backed by the warlord Ma Ji, the provinces declared their government wholly illegitimate and promised a swift end to the autocratic and anachronistic monarchy. Rebel scum! Hunan succeeds from the League. Hunan province has fallen under the sway of Sun Chongfang during the chaos following the 1927 Northern Expedition, with Governor Zhao Hangti resuming control of the province after a brief period of KMT rule. A longtime ally of Wu, Zhao has been governor of the region since 1920. However, he also has ties to the federalist government in Guangxi, tacitly supporting the federal model. As of now, he has taken a strictly neutral stance, torn between his personal friendship to Wu and his political loyalties to Chen Jiangming. His neutrality, however, cannot last long, as already clouds are beginning to circle around his rule of the province. Hopefully, Wu's old friend remains loyal. Civil War in Sichuan. Sichuan province, long plagued by overpopulation and food shortages, has erupted into civil war. Ever since the 1927 restoration, Yang Sen, a close personal friend and ally of Wu Peifu, has ruled the province, but in the last few years his control began to slip. Various other factions loyal to the Fangtian regime, Kuomintang remnants and isolationists loyal only to themselves, began to consolidate power, and use the collapse of the League as a perfect moment to launch attacks on Yang's now shaky government. Yang has yet to reach out to us for direct aid, preferring to hide the scope of the unrest, but Wu expects his old friend to come knocking for help any day. Terrible news. And An King. An King is now also aligned with Japan. It's like, this is, that's not good. Restoration of democracy in Australasia. Okay. I guess I had more militias than I thought I did. You guys go over here. Okay, so we got cavalry, we got infantry. So we actually have 10 of these militia divisions. The Imperial Guards, and then 7 regular infantries. The Lindbergh of the East. A young pilot named Sun Tonggang has earned great renown for flying across Eurasia in his custom self-built aircraft. With the recent upheavals within the League, he has volunteered to serve our nation as a pilot, destroying our enemies from the skies. Originally based in Nanjing, he has fled the chaos currently developing the sea for our territory in a small plane. Great. So we get a flying ace. Let's actually assign him then. So we got one, you might as well use one, right? Here we go. Ace pilot. First International Congress. Whispers of discontent. In the weeks following Wu's decision not to intervene in the LAP collapse, small groups from across the political spectrum began to gather in secret. Initially limited to criticizing Wu's inaction, the worsening violence in the streets has led many to bring up revolt. Social networks between these groups have allowed a shaky coalition to develop, comprised of Manchu nobles, cadets from the Baoding Academy, reformers in the NCRA, and some Zili generals annoyed at Wu's inaction. This loose group has begun to speak clandestinely with one another and plot to overthrow Wu to restore the emperor to some degree of power. I'll have to keep an eye on that. Armament department seeks asylum. So I guess civil war in Sichuan has ended, and their allies in the armament department have been defeated by the Baoding department, fleeing possible retribution by Deng Ziho. Leadership of the former ruling clique of Sichuan has arrived, seeking to serve our armed forces with the hope of one day perhaps returning to their home province. Yes, let's take some new generals. Maybe these guys will be better than some of the ones we currently have. So we have Deng Zihu over here in Sichuan now. So who do we get? Who do we get here? So we got, I think this guy's new. We got Yang Sen over here. He's got the same thing going on as Jiang Bali over there. He's got inflexible strategist and defensive doctrine, which is again confusing, but okay. Wang Lingji. So this guy's a brilliant strategist with no learned traits. Like that's good. Infantry officer kind of sucks, but he's got brilliant strategist. So that's a nice one to get. We got Liu Kanhun over here, old guard. A couple more old guards. Like I don't know. I think this guy's a hit. Probably better than the other ones we have. And the Yang Sen, like another field marshal with a flexible strategist isn't bad. I think it's definitely worth political power to pay. Julius the Fourth. Which guy is this? He's a true political player and staunch opponent of syndicalism. Has become His Holiness Pope Julius IV, leader of Catholic Church and head of state of the Papal States. Is that Nat Pope? I don't see that guy very often. It is Nat Pope. Are they going to Deus Vault the syndicalists? Is that going to happen? There's a holy war against this crusade against syndicalism, I think. That's interesting. I don't think they'll. They're still going to lose probably. I wouldn't bet on that Pope. Let's trade another National Infantry Division. We'll just go one all the time. Famine breaks out in Sichuan. The province of Sichuan has long struggled with famine. Rocky terrain and unpredictable weather kept populations low until the early Qing era, when widespread land clearances and immigration incentives brought hordes of peasants to the province. In 1925, a lengthy drought turned into a devastating famine that ravaged the province, leading to hundreds of thousands of deaths and millions of refugees. Now, with chaos in the League disrupting food shipments and another lengthy drought, the specter of famine haunts Sichuan once more. Already horrifying stories are emerging of mothers selling their children into slavery for scraps of bread and anarchy gripping even the richest market towns. This year just keeps getting worse. It's like 2020. Alright, here, so we got a clandestine meeting. I think this is a Manchu coup event. In the basement of a shady Beijing bar, traditionally used as cover for revolutionary activities, a strange coalition of individuals dedicated to overthrowing Wu Peifu and his rule over China has gathered. First is Puji, and the emperor's brother and general in the army, one of the few non-Zili generals allowed to command significant numbers of troops. Next to him sits YC James Yan, a leading intellectual and the head of the NCERA. Across from him sit Fang Zijuan and Ling Bin, two Baoding cadets scarcely older than 25. The final member of this meeting is Zili General Li Bingzi, a monarchist. Bingzi claims to have assembled a coalition of Zili generals disgruntled with Wu's inaction over the last few months. Realizing that they are unable to beat the Zili clique on their own with their limited military resources, the plotters decide they must ask the leader of a neighboring warlord clique for assistance. After much deliberation, they choose. Go with Yan Zishan and Shangzi. Governor Yan's response. Marshal Yan has replied to our request, and while he's interested in helping, he says he can only do so if the coup plotters convince him. The marshal is well known as a humble and industrious man who wants the best for his people, though an offer of personal power may also be attractive to him. I will promise that we will modernize China and the monarchy. Oh. Yan accepts. Marshal Yan has accepted the coup plotters' request for aid. He agrees he will deploy his troops should the Zili clique not be fully destroyed in the coup. At the same time, however, he will probably demand concessions once Puyi has been restored to his proper position. Excellent. Of course, that coup's not going to happen. Should we try and help the left KMT out? I don't think we can actually send volunteers to any of these guys that hate us too much. Ominous troop movements. Unusual troop movements have been reported from Shaanxi province over the last few days. It appears the troops are preparing for some sort of military action on our border. With our informants reporting that supplies and equipment are being stockpiled near the mountain passes out of Shaanxi. Governor Yan Zishan, our old enemy just a few years ago during the Forest Seifang War, an attack from him in these turbulent times to try and regain his lost lands would not be out of character. We have more pressing matters to attend to. We'll just end the coup in the palace with our Zilly bodyguards. Or we'll see how that goes. Deng Zihu takes control of Sichuan. Grave news, sire. It appears Deng Zihu has defeated their ally Yang Sen in Sichuan. We already knew that, though, right? While this is a major loss to the Zili clique, its province is industrially poor and militarily overstretched. Should they join any opposing faction, we will crush them. Let's do... Do you want to do another anti-German boycott? We can't. Can't do any of these yet. So we got machine tools. And I think we'll just go concentrated industry. I don't have a particular strategy plan for disperse, so we'll go concentrated. Zhao Hangti wins Hunan elections. Wu Peifu's old friend Zhao Hangti has just won the recent provincial elections in Hunan. While this initially might seem good for us, Zhao's electoral victory also means that he has reaffirmed his commitment to his federal values, placing what he thinks are the best interests of the nation over his true loyalties to Wu. Following your principles? Really? Really? Mysterious occurrences. Worrying news. It appears that over the last few days, anti-Zili and anti-German pamphlets have been discovered, distributed amongst some of our troops. When asked where they received this from, none were able to give a straight answer, with most saying it just appeared overnight. Even more worrying, several Zili generals have dropped out of contact with Luo Yang over the last few hours, notably including Li Bingzi, whose monarchist sympathies are well known. Even worse, Baoding Military Academy appears to have been abandoned overnight, and communications with far-flung parts of the Empire have been interrupted due to widespread radio and telephone outages. What is going on here? Alright, so we got our Hanyang rifle. Land Doctrine. Let's go Superior Firepower, Land Doctrine. We'll get at least the first one for the extra attack. And we need to start building the Hanyang Type 27. And Baltic Duchy collapse is okay. Summons to Beijing. While Wu is attempting to process the alarming developments that have occurred over the last few days, an urgent telegram arrived from Beijing. Cao Kun and Wu have been summoned to a meeting with the Emperor over the state of the country. Widespread riots are still a daily occurrence, and while the Emperor technically has a constitutional prerogative to summon his president, this has never occurred. While Wu may sense a trap, Cao Kun has already informed the Emperor that himself and Wu will present themselves to his Imperial Majesty later that week. Damn you, Cao Kun! What were you thinking? Wu and Cao prepare to meet Pu Yi. After arriving from Luoyang, Wu berated Cao for essentially inviting them into a trap. Still, the Jade March was not one to go into a meeting like this without a trump card up his sleeve. As the two men prepare to enter the hall, Wu orders his bodyguards to wait outside the entrance to the chambers. The ceremonial bodyguards outside are unarmed except for traditional swords, and the Zili soldiers have hidden pistols within their pockets. They enter the hall. Guards rush into the hall. As the two men enter and kneel before the Emperor, around a dozen heavily armed Manchu guards rush into the room. Surrounding the Emperor, they move forward and attempt to arrest the two men. While Puyi flees the room. Like, what a bitch! Who flees the room when doing your own coup attempt? Wow. Upon hearing the commotion, Wu's bodyguards outside quickly dispatch the ceremonial guards and rush in. While Wu and Cao duck behind pillars to avoid getting hit, bullets fly back and forth among ancient pillars of the hall, smashing priceless artifacts and wounding Cao Kun. When the bullets stop, however, one side emerges victorious. We'll say the Manchu bodyguards lie dead on the ground. The counter-coup. Following Cao and Wu's narrow escape from death in the throne room, Wu's bodyguards disperse throughout the palace, gunshots echoing throughout the halls as they encounter sporadic Manchu resistance. A few minutes later, they burst back into the throne room, dragging a terrified Puyi with them. Wu, standing above the prostrated Puyi, gestures to a bodyguard. Drawing a pistol, he grabs Puyi behind him and leads him to the door. Outside, a small group of courtiers and hangers-on have gathered, along with the Emperor's brother Puji and several other Manchu nobles. Opening the door to the audience chamber, Wu steps forward, flanked by the Emperor and his captor. Your plot has failed, traitors. He twists his mouth into a smirk before gesturing the bodyguard to pull the Emperor back into the room. One step forward and the Son of Heaven dies. Secretly, Wu is terrified. This will not be the first time he has cheated death. You will all enter the throne room, where my guards will ensure you are watched over well. President Cao, he turns to the head of the assembly, who at this point has retreated into the room himself. Take some guards and get over to the assembly chamber as fast as you can. He glances back at Puyi. The time has come to end the empire. China shall become a republic once more. A few hours later, once Zili troops have raided the plotting rooms, documents are found implicating neighboring warlords. Wu is quick to immediately declare them traitors and mobilize his troops for war. Death to traitors! So now we get rid of Fractured Empire for free, even. That's pretty sick, actually. I've never done this path before, but that's awesome. We're going to get 15% consumer goods. Just get it. Gets event, the Aftermath, Feng Tian government gets Qing government attack Shaanxi. We get an annex war goal against Shaanxi clique. Can we delete Manchu Cavalry Division and Manchu Imperial Guard? So we lose 2 cavalry and our shitty 6th with infantry division. So that's fine, I guess. We need to get our guys sorted. So we get a war goal against Shaanxi. Use guys, we need you. I'll have you guys. New army. These guys can be light blue. Front line there. And you guys. Front line here. And we'll get our cavalry. And our tank guy over there as well. What's our gun situation like? So we're all green on everything. We have a lot of artillery actually that we started the game with. Also, we don't have any experience to actually use it though, so that's unfortunate. The counter-coup. Following Cao and Wu's narrow escape from death in the throne room, Wu's bodyguards disperse throughout the palace, gunshots echoing throughout the halls as they encounter sporadic Manchu resistance. Didn't we already get this event? Like, I'm pretty sure I already read this. Yeah, we just read that event. I didn't click it yet. Okay, that's it. I got confused. I was busy doing something else and I didn't close the event, so that's fine. We will let these guys get into position, and then we will click that event, and then we will deal with this treasonous bastard. Yan Jishan. Have you guys over here. Why can't I delete your order? Why does that do nothing? Seriously? Death to traitors, I guess. Like, I can't, why can't I, okay, now I can delete it. I guess I can't do that when there's a pause, though. And that's some bullshit. So I'll have you guys push in here. I'll have one guy go over here. So we got a flag change too. That's nice. Yeah. Well, if you deploy over there. Assign some generals. So our tank division. Who's we had the brilliant strategist we got from these guys over here. So we'll do that. We'll have Wu Peifu lead that. Cavalry guys. I guess functionally the cavalry guys can just go in the army with the other ones. I don't think I have a cavalry field marshal. Cavalry, this guy. And infantry guys. That guy and I guess this guy. It's probably fine. And we'll get the unyielding defender. Failed coup in Beijing. Details are unclear, but following a presumed coup attempt in the Forbidden City this morning, Marshal Wu Peifu emerged, armed in a sling but otherwise standing tall. Walking down the stairs, he stopped for a few words with reporters who had rushed to the scene. As Puyi, bound and guarded by a group of soldiers, shuffled out. Calhoun, the democratically elected leader of China, and I were savagely attacked by the Emperor's thugs. No doubt supported by the Kaiser, he began, staring directly into the camera, bulbs flashing in his face. It is clear that they wish to undo the progress we have made, and after their betrayal today, the Assembly has declared them traitors. China will be a republic once more, free from foreign domination. Long live the Republic. So right now we are the Zili clique. So that's cool. We got flag change, we got name change. We'll have this guy get into position. And we'll maybe move our tank over here. Purging the Manchu removed, or with the Manchu removed as a political force, the question now remains: what is to be done with the Manchu generals and our military? The obvious answer is imprisoning them, but then what about all the Zili generals that sided with them? Several are quite skilled, and removing them from our officer pool will have consequences. Still, it will ensure loyalty going forward. We can't go into negative army experience. I'm just going to purge all these guys. I mean, those generals weren't that great anyways. Death to traitors. Looking at you, Yan Zishan. Unfortunately, we don't really have... And the tactical bombers have will have range, but we don't have an airbase close enough, I think, for our fighters to really be all that useful. The aftermath. With the Manchu plotters dealt with, we now need to turn our eyes to reconstructing a government. It won't be easy, but a new set of laws needs to be drafted that rectifies the errors of the Beijing Constitution and ensures China will be properly guided through these turbulent years. We need to create a legitimate government. Now we can do republicry. Okay. So we can do lessons of the coup attempt to get stability 10%, which maybe we don't need. Get a new constitution, debt and legitimacy. I think we probably want to do this first, get our factories. And there's 3 civies there. There's also 2 civies over here, though. What's the overwhelming national debt do? It's our construction speed debuff. I mean, that sucks. We do have 5 factories now. I think I'm going to do this one first. We'll get the... We could also do the anti-concessionist stance, loyalty of the Storm Wards. We're still blocked out of these. We'll do Future of the Zili clique first. And we'll go in once we have full org over here on Yan Zishan. You're going here. You're going this way. Feng Tian begins to mobilize. Our agents in Shenyang have reported growing signs that Feng Tian is mobilizing, preparing to march its army south against our defenses at Shenhaiguan. Fortunately, our attack on Shaanxi seems to have caught Zhang Zulin by surprise, and it could take several months for forces to move decisively. At least he knows he's coming. So does this need to be at peace? Yeah, it does. So new constitution. We'll do this first. We'll do this first. Let's maybe go 4 speed. Like the train is going to make our guys move a bit slower. This is going to be pretty dull. Drafting a new constitution. Following the overthrow of the Qing Empire, Wu Peifu assembled a group of constitutional and legal scholars to help him create a new government for China. Holding the city of Beijing gave him some level of legitimacy, and the military power he possesses gives any document he chooses to adopt force behind it. With the question of legitimacy solved, the pressing question Wu has to answer is in the form of the constitution. In order to save time and expedite the centralization of China, he could simply adopt the last non-monarchist constitution of China, the 1923 one created by President Cao. This, however, is rife with loopholes, opportunities for the executive abuse, and other problems. Wu and the scholars he have assembled could attempt to draft their own constitution, although this would take time and political capital. We'll just pay the political power costs. I mean, we're not doing anything. I think if Feng Tian is going to take months, it said. Let's send the rest of our regulars over here, and these guys need like an actual general too. Let's go with Yang Sen. That in Siam. Yeah, maybe I didn't even need those guys. Power of the executive. The first issue confronting Wu's constitutional scholars is the level of power the executive should possess. It is unsaid, of course, that Wu and the Zili clique will guide the executive through these trying times, but once China is unified, there is a general understanding that Wu's government will gradually transition into some form of democracy. With that being said, a strong executive guarantees stability, while an empowered legislative body is better at generating political capital and clout. Production efficiency or stability? Let's go for production efficiency. What's the executive? Yeah, so like there are those. That's like the. Yeah, I'll keep them divided with the legislature. And they capitulated. That's nice. So they have capitulated. Let's make sure I understand where our factories are, because we might get pushed. So we got some factories down here in the south, which we might not be able to hold. Anhui, I think, is also aligned with Feng Tian. So we'll do the Constitution, then we probably want to start. I think these are our fastest factories over here, I think. 2 civilian, 3 military. Yeah, so we probably want that. It's gonna be important. Train another National Infantry Division. I think we're gonna have to be careful here too. Let's do the anti-German boycott. Just we'll get rid of the last of this. So factories, nothing, nothing. 1 mil there. It's like really most of our industry. It looks like there's 2 civies. 1 mil. 1 mil. 1 mil, 2 civies. 1 civvy. I thought Beijing had something in it. That's 1 mil only. It's like you get pretty dicey if like these guys start stabbing us in the back with Fang Tian. Or if they give the Fang Tian military access. Let's maybe try and get a line around Baoding or something. We are missing some light tanks, which is it's a bit sad, but it is what it is. We've taken an anti-concession stance. Like I'm not sure. Wouldn't we have taken an anti-concession stance, like declaring the republic? The issue of autonomy. The next issue facing Wu's Constitutional Assembly is level of autonomy for the provinces. Previous Republican governments often came into conflict with the provincial administrations, and this in part led to the current situation in China. Strong centralization, on the other hand, ensures that orders issued by Beijing are followed to the better. Let's keep it centralized. Alright, and Black Monday's gone, so we got 7 factories. Drafting is complete. Let's maybe start also alternating in some military factories. Drafting is complete. After many hours spent hunched over desks writing and arguing over the minutiae of constitutional law, we have a new constitution. Wu and the Zili clique will ensure that the new government is stable for the first few years of its existence. But once China is reunified, many scholars are hopeful China can begin a transition to a real democracy. All we need now is a president, so we're going to get 15% production efficiency cap, so that's nice. Selecting a president. Despite being one of the foremost military minds in China, Wu Peifu's skills are not well suited to the halls of government. Already he fears military matters are falling to the wayside due to his duties as national protector, and has ordered that the scholars drafting the constitution come up with a list of potential new presidents for the republic. 2 candidates have emerged. Scholar, intellectual Hu Shi, and diplomat and briefly former President V.K. Wellington Gu Weijun. Hu is well known for his theory of pragmatism, a concept first originating in the United States in the 1870s and 80s. In Hu's writing, he advocates for cooperation with warlords and working to change the Chinese government from inside out instead of ripping it down and rebuilding it like many in the KMT. Following the failure of the Northern Expedition, this theory has gained many adherents and is quite popular in academic circles. Wellington Q, on the other hand, is a diplomatic genius and politician who attended the Versailles Conference in 1920 as an observer and helped negotiate several deals with American, German, and British diplomats, giving him a dearth of diplomatic experience that will no doubt be useful in legitimizing our government. Let's go with this Hu Shi guy. Like, we're going to be anti-European. Inaugurating the new republic. In an elaborate ceremony today, Wu Peifu oversaw the swearing in of the new president of the republic to adoring cheers. The assembly remains firmly in control of the Harmony Association, and many still question the legitimacy of the new regime. Still, Wu no longer has to contend with the Manchu as a potential opponent, and can instead concentrate on fixing the massive debt issues facing China, and starting to reunify this fractured country. Additionally, despite our best efforts to present our government as a legitimate government of China, few see us that way. We will need to either destroy or coerce the groups that oppose the regime and convince the general population we are the true government of China. Congratulations, Mr. President. Alright, light tank 1. Go right for light tank 2. Production, we need to start building some light tanks. I think we get, how many military factories do we get from our, what's the first one I can get? So if I come down over here, that's 42, 21, 60, 60. 60, 28. Right, okay, so I have to do this. 60, 60, 28, 60, 60, 42, 21, 60, 60. This also gets rid of our debt issue. I think we just do this, get our military factories. I don't want to take factories off guns right now and lose efficiency. So our tanks will have to wait. Get a new constitution, then we'll solve our debt issue. Radical Buddhists in charge of Mongolia, okay. We'll solve our debt issue. And we're still illegitimate though, it's going to cost us some stability and political power gain. And there's the war in the West. I got a new flag to go with our country too there, that's interesting. That's not good. This right here is not good at all. Japanese ships on the Yangtze. The Wuhan garrison commanders reported a flotilla of ships bearing the Fengtian flag sailing up the river towards Sichuan, laden with grain and relief supplies. We are faced with a dilemma. Allowing the ships to pass would greatly increase Sichuanese government's loyalty to Fengtian, but stopping and seizing them could create an even bigger backlash and risk painting our governments as cruel and uncaring. And we are forced to let them pass here. Jabal Shamar declares war on Nejd. Debt and legitimacy. The debt issue continues to interfere with our economic efforts and impedes our attempts to reinforce the legitimacy of our new government. While we could ask Germany for support, it's likely this will cause our already unpopular government to collapse under public pressure. The much more shrewd plan is to take an anti-concession stance, default on our debt, but ensuring us loyalty to our population. So I guess we're defaulting. Resignation from the Legation Council. With our new anti-concession stance, we have formally resigned from the perfidious Legation Council. No more will we answer to the foreign scum who exploit our country for their own financial gain. China for the Chinese. Yeah, that's nice. Prosperity League dissolves. Following our recent upheavals, Prosperity League has abruptly dissolved, setting a hostile atmosphere, with many of their prominent lobbyists leaving for Tianjin while German legation remains in Beijing. They have cut themselves off from any government contact, robbing us of German military and industrial support. The people, however, are overwhelmingly in favor of this move and are praising the new government for ridding itself of foreign influence. We don't need them. We're getting some PP here. Let's eradicate some Manchu remnants. Leadership crisis is pretty bad, though. So we probably do want to actually do this real fast. And we have to be at peace, too. That has to be our next focus. It was a mistake to do the one I'm doing right now. Almost certainly. I should have done that to get rid of... we need to drop this 20% work. I forgot that was a thing. What's Feng Tian doing right now? Feng Tian things. These guys are going to be a problem. Especially if they get military access to Feng Tian. Feng Tian can like sweep us around from up here, that'd be awful. Eradicate Manchu remnants. Alright, future of the Zilli clique. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I can't risk being at war and not being able to clear that debuff. Alright, superior firepower is done. Let's start with our construction technology. We are a bit behind on that. More in the south. So China's like having all sorts of fun times. All sorts of fun times. Future of the Zilli clique. The Zilli clique, like every other warlord clique in China, operates primarily on the basis of seniority and other mentor-mentee relationships. This, while usually providing stability and helping reduce the probability for backstabbing, also stifles meritocracy and promotions based on skill. With the recent deaths and advancing of age of many of our senior generals, however, we may be forced to take drastic action and promote younger officers to the forefront of our military. 4 candidates have emerged for elevation to fulfill General Corps: Guo Jiojia, Wang Lingzhan, Du Zijun, and Wei Yishan. Promote them. Here we go. We have a defense plan for China. Following Wu Peifu's call for a meeting of senior Zilli officials, a large number have arrived in Luoyang, leaving their subordinates in charge of frontline duties. The first pressing concern is picking a centralized defense strategy for the inevitable war with Japan and the Feng Tian government. The northern traders' growing boldness in the wake of the Li collapse has alarmed many senior commanders, including Jiang Bali and Liu Mangang. The two men have spent the last few weeks codifying plans they have been developing over the last 2 years and have presented them to the assembled Zilli commanders. Jiang's focuses on large-scale defensive fortifications, moving industry to the interior of China, and rousing the fighting spirit of China in order to defeat Japan. While not the direct opposite of Jiang's plan, Liu's plan focuses more on improving fighting capability of Zilli troops. Improved morale, drill standards, and logistical support are key, at least in his eyes, of ensuring Chinese victory. Updated medical care also plays a crucial part of the strategy. Both are compelling plans, but it's up to Wu Peifu to ultimately decide. I've never tried this guy's path. Like, this guy's path I've done before, and it seems to be okay. But we'll go with Liu Mangang. We'll see what he does. And I guess now that we're here, this is 60. This is 60. I guess we'll just do this. We'll do Liu Mangang's plan first. And then maybe some of those decisions will be helpful. And we're starting to get some political power now, which is nice. Go light tank 2. And let's go for radio, which we probably want to have in time for the Feng Tian War. You guys will join this army on the border. Yeah, let's spend some command power. Let's go with infantry attack. Refugees from Sichuan. Can I give you anything? You're general right now. No, I can't. Jiang Bailey, no. Mr. Peifu. Let's pick aggressive assaulter and offensive doctrine for this guy. Yeah, not much. So we'll do that. I mean, if you're at 100 command power, you might as well spend some, otherwise you're just wasting your gain.